It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
A couple of Saturdays ago, Kylie and I were invited along to a conference to speak to Fathers of Girls. The Fathers of Girls organisation exists for dads of daughters, and they raise funds for Confident Girls, a charity that is designed to help girls who are certainly not born into the most privileged of circumstances and have a range of challenges and difficulties. Great charity doing really, really delightful work. At that conference, or at that luncheon, at the fundraiser, I spoke for a little while, but before I spoke, I decided to throw Kylie in it. In a room of 260 men who had a nice lunch and a couple of drinks, Kylie stood up on stage and grabbed that microphone and spoke to them about being a mother of girls. What we decided to do today is share Kylie's talk in full. And we wanted to share it with you because it doesn't just apply to mothers of girls or fathers of girls. It's a parenting conversation. But Kylie had these 260 men absolutely captivated. Their rapt attention, many of them were literally brought to tears as Kylie shared her talk. And we're going to share that with you right now. Kylie does have a little bit of hay fever. So if she sounds a little bit, what's the word, froggy, Kylie, would you call it froggy? A little bit hoarse? We'll come up with another animal that you could sound.
Yeah, that's right.
But here we go. This is what Kylie had to say at the Fathers of Girls conference.
When Justin's first book was published and arrived on our doorstep, it was a monumental moment in our home. There were tears, hugs, and a lot of excitement over this reality. Seeing all of his hard work come to fruition in such a tangible form was significant, so much so that we packed the 6 kids into the car that very afternoon and made the 1.5-hour trek up the freeway to visit Justin's nan, Margie, who was holding on by a thread. We wanted to give her the first copy and read her the dedication meant just for her. A few months later, I found myself thumbing through its pages. Having read it in its entirety during the proofing stage, I returned for a gentle reminder of things we already knew, but were struggling to implement. Around page 10, I was hit with a task. Imagine you are your child as you answer these questions about your parenting. Things like, my parents support me. They console me when I'm upset. They show they care about me. They have genuine interest in me. They remember things that are important to me. They are available to talk at any time. They ask questions in a caring manner. They spend extra time with me just because they want to. They are willing to talk about my troubles and my interests. They value my input. They make me feel wanted. I was struck by this challenge. I didn't want to imagine. I wanted to know firsthand. I craved concrete proof, understanding my successes, failures, and areas of improvement. In a state of quandary, I deliberated on the best way to extract this information from my children. I considered asking a close friend or a neighbour, both psychologists, to spend time with my kids one-on-one. But the thought of my children sharing my shortcomings with them broke my heart a little. I just wasn't sure I was ready to face my flaws publicly. But would my children be honest if I asked them myself? I decided there was only one way to find out, and that's how PPI's, personal progress interviews, began in our home. I needn't have worried about my kids being honest with me. After all, every parent has probably been told by their child at some point after an unpopular request that they are the worst. Just yesterday. My children didn't hold back. Justin played with the other kids in another room while I took each one into the lounge room and went through their list. Seeing myself through my children's eyes was humbling. They truly are pure light. In many ways, they saw the best in me when I felt so inadequate. Yet there were also moments of clarity, a sucker punch to the heart as they opened up and shared things like, "You're really good at listening to me, unless you're at your sewing machine or Dad's on his phone. You say you're listening, but I know you're not because you never look up. Ella, aged 4. Ouch." Over the years, the process has simplified to 3 simple questions. What's going well? Our successes. What's not? Our failures. And where can we improve? This pattern has been refined over the years with each of them. I'd love to say we're meticulous with our timing and have these conversations once a month. We do not. But when we feel a disconnect or sense a troubled heart, we tap into our 3 questions. It might be while snuggling on the bed, driving to school, walking the dog, or over a milkshake down at the local cafe, dependent on each child's needs or wants. Never is this process treated like a formal interview. In preparation for what I might share with each of you, I took the time to sit down with each of my kids and ask them two things. What have you loved about the way Dad and I have parented you, and what will you do differently with your own family? These were really big questions, but don't worry, I had emotional band-aids ready. After all, I really put myself in the thick of it, didn't I? Remembering that first humbling experience, I found this time was no different. Our beautiful girls, ranging from ages 25 to 10, each bore their souls in eloquent ways, saying essentially the same things. They love, no matter how busy we get, that we prioritise family meals. They love that we've taught them skills in emotional intelligence forged through hard conversations, usually late at night. When they watch their friends navigate challenges, they feel grateful for those tough talks. That's where their emotional muscles get strong. They love that we prioritise their education and interests in whatever form it takes. We ask questions until we find answers. We listen to their needs, and we create a safe space for them to share their hearts. They appreciate that we teach them skills of independence, leaving them feel competent and capable. They know that arguments never last more than a day, and that forgiveness is given freely and sought quickly when needed. They love that we let them make mistakes and help them navigate challenges when they arise. They feel like we have their back, even when they get it wrong. I had grand ideas about sharing lessons learned in the trenches, hard-won wisdom from the battlefront of parent life, ways in which you might support your wives better, especially as girl mums, or a list of common mistakes dads make with their daughters. But they all paled in insignificance after my conversations this week. Honouring my daughters' hearts and their request, there is only one lesson that matters. When I asked if they would change anything, they told me there was only one thing. With Daddy travelling so much, they recognise I carry a huge responsibility in running the family, which often leaves me exhausted at the end of the day and stretched beyond capacity. If they could change one thing, it would be to have more time. Time with us. What teenager asks for that? Seriously. Our kids push back a lot as they assert their independence, but deep down, what they want more than anything is our time. You see, to a kid, love is spelled T-I-M-E. Time is their love language. No matter their age or relationship status, it never changes, and they crave it. They need it like we need air to breathe. They want our time to share their hearts, their successes and failures, their heartaches and joys. They want time to laugh, to cry, time to play and time to create, time to snuggle. Don't be fooled. Don't think that because your kids are all grown up, even at the ripe old age of 8 or 18, they're too old for snuggles. They even want time for that. The other night, as I lay half comatose on the bed after another mammoth day, one of the kids stopped by my bedroom door and asked if I was up for a walk along the beach. It was only 7:30, but I was shattered. I explained this to my daughter and sent her on her way. She accepted my decline graciously and understandingly, but as she walked away, my heart pained. This was a bid for connection. So I mustered all the energy I could find and I got out of bed. "Let's go," I said. A hope-filled "really?" came floating down the hallway. We jumped in the car and drove to our favourite spot. 5 kilometres later, she was all talked out, but literally beaming. She just needed her mum, time to share her heart with me, time to listen to mine, but ultimately, time. As I reflect on this journey of parenting, it's clear that the most profound gift we can give our children is our time. In a world filled with distractions, choosing to prioritise those moments fosters deep connections and reassures them of our love and lets them know they matter. Whether through laughter, conversation, or simply being present, these shared experiences shape their understanding of love and security. So as we navigate the challenges of busy lives and growing independence, let's remember, to our girls, love is spelled T-I-M-E. Before we know it, our little ones will be all grown up, and we won't only wonder where the time went. We'll always wish we had more of it with them while we could. It might seem like a lot in the moment, but time together isn't just about building memories. We're nurturing, resilient, confident individuals who know they are valued. As a parent, nothing is more fulfilling than knowing that. Forget the lists, forget the do's and don'ts. At the end of the day, It's the time we spend with them that truly matters.
Great stuff. Hay fever aside, great stuff, and so well received by a group of men who, well, we didn't know how it was going to go, but they just loved it. They said all sorts of kind things. One guy came up to us afterwards and just said, I don't want to do the rest of this lunch. I just want to go home and hug my kids. I just want to spend the afternoon with my kids. Beautiful
I obviously
stuff.
Don't get to go with you very often,
Right.
and I definitely do not get to share the stage with you very often. I was very nervous being in a room full of men. A sea of pink did help.
Yes, yeah.
There was a lot of pink shirts.
I wore a blue shirt, and when I got there, I thought, oh my goodness, we've got like 260 blokes that are pretty much all wearing pink shirts. I didn't really dress. They didn't give me a dress code. I didn't feel good about it.
But when you have somebody say something like that, you've got this opportunity to reflect on what's most important. And in that moment, he just wanted to be with his family. That just made my heart melt.
Yeah. So we hope that as you've listened to Kylie's comments, that's done the same thing for you, that it makes you want to go and hug your kids and spend time with them and get into that. I mean, we say it over and over and over again. I don't know where the original quote came from. I can't attribute it appropriately, but it's been a mantra of mine. Kids spell love Time. Listening to you talk about that, Kylie, reminds me of my Gold Flex story that I love to tell. I think maybe we'll do that on the podcast as we move towards the summer holidays, just as a reminder that we've got to find those moments and savor them and cherish them. But I'm really glad you shared that. Thanks for doing that, especially with the annoying hay fever that's just come back and given you a big bite today. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. For more information about how to make your family happier and get that Time working just right, you can visit us on our socials on Instagram and Facebook or happyfamilies.com.au.